Greetings, Southeastern Synod. I hope you're doing well. This is a quick video to help us walk through what it's like to do electronic voting for our upcoming Synod Assembly at 2025, which will be May the 29th through the 31st in Columbus, Georgia. So if you remember from some of the e-newses that have come out and some of the other videos that we've produced, you'll remember that the first ballot that we'll be voting on this year will be for the ballot for bishop. And that will be an ecclesiastical ballot, which means it will be a paper ballot. Most likely it will be on a blue piece of paper. And so it's very important that you spell the person's name correctly and you write legibly so that it counts for the person you're voting for. And on the ecclesiastical ballot, there are 3 questions. The first one says, to vote, legibly print the name of a rostered minister of Word and Sacrament in the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. The second question says to please identify the current call of the person for whom you're voting. And the third one is if the nominee is not present in the 2025 Southeastern Synod Assembly, to please provide contact information, whether it's congregation, city, state, phone number, email, something like that. That way that we can count the person who you're voting for. After that, all subsequent ballots, which will also include the ballots for Synod Secretary, the Synod Council at-large members, and the Consultation and Discipline Committee will all be electronic ballots. And if you remember from last year, or if you weren't present last year, we use electronic voting with QR codes. And so on the tables where voting members will be seated, election pages and election volunteers will bring around a business-sized card piece of paper with a QR code on it. And the QR code will have the name of the ballot on it. And so whenever you vote, you have your smart device, whether it's a smartphone or a tablet, anything like that you'll most likely have. You open up your camera app. Now, some people may have a QR code reader app, but once you open the app and you can see that the camera is looking at things, then you have the camera hover over your QR code such that you see it in the viewfinder, and instead of taking a picture, you most likely will hit a link. It'll invite you to open a link, and mine is a little yellow line here at the bottom that invites me to go to my browser. And once we get into the browser, it actually takes me to the ballot. Now within the ballot, you will need a couple of things. If you remember, on your voter identification card, your name tag, you'll have a voter ID number on the back. It's a 4-digit number that is unique to you and should not be shared because that's how you are able to cast your ballot. And so here on the first, you would put in the 4-digit code. And so I will enter in the 4-digit code that I'm using for the examples. And the next question that it asks is about proxy voting. Now, in the Southeastern Synod, we do not allow or permit proxy voting, and so we want you to recognize that on the ballot. And it says in the Constitution, S 7.31 reads as follows. Proxy and absentee voting shall not be permitted in the transaction of any business of the Southeastern Synod Assembly. And so in order to acknowledge that, there's a little box here that I will acknowledge that I have read and understood this part of the Constitution regarding absentee voting, and then I'll click Next. So once I click Next, it takes me to the page of the actual ballot, and it'll always say how many you're voting for and for what position. And so on the practice ballot, it's choose one song to be the theme song of the Southeastern Synod. So I'm going to pick the one that I am voting for. And so once you click on it, if it has choose 1 or choose 2, you will be able to choose that number. You won't be able to choose more than that, but you'll be able to choose that number or less. So if it says elect 2 or choose 2 people, you can choose 2 but not 3. You could choose 1. But it says choose up to 2 people. So then once you hit the next button, then it'll ask you to confirm your vote. I confirm that my submission of this electronic ballot is my own individual vote using my assigned voter identification number. So once I click I confirm there and click the submit button, then I have now cast my ballot. So one question that often comes up is if someone isn't as tech savvy or they don't have their own device. The great thing about the way we do electronic voting is you don't have to have your own device to vote. You just have to have your own unique identification number. So it could be that, let's say someone else at my table's phone isn't working or it's not reading the QR code. Once I vote using my number, I can then clear it out and hand them my phone, and they could scan the same QR code and put in their number. So remember that your voting is not device dependent, but voter identification number dependent. As we go through the next couple of weeks, we may be producing a couple more videos to do some Q&As of questions around voting. But it's pretty straightforward. We'll also have pages and tech help support in the space. So if you have questions in the voting process itself, we'll have folks there to help you. So we look forward to seeing you in Columbus, Georgia in a couple of weeks, and take care until we see each other. God bless you. Bye-bye.